Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Diary of a Matchmaker. My name is Hiba, and this is Zaid, my husband.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
And today we have a very, very special guest, Baba Ali, the founder of Half Deen. Welcome. Thank you for accepting our invitation.
Walaikum salam. Thank you for having me. I'm excited, inshallah.
We're so excited. So to anyone who's been listening to us for a while, they would know that Baba Ali is the reason we are married.
Alhamdulillah.
We met on HOD as thousands of other Muslims met there, and alhamdulillah, we ended up finding each other. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. I'm happy to be part of something. Alhamdulillah, you guys are doing such an amazing job of helping others find their half. So inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to put barakah in your work, inshallah.
Ameen. So why don't we kickstart with a story? So alhamdulillah, you've been doing this for more than a decade, for a long time. And I'm sure you have your selection or collection of stories. But I don't know, I'd love to hear just one story that's stuck with you over the years.
What is the craziest story?
The craziest story you got.
Craziest story, there's plenty of stories, but they're all different. Like one of the things I noticed with the Half Our Deen audience, they tend to be more private. They tend to be people, happen to be more introverts than extroverts. They are extroverts, but they tend to be more towards the introvert side. So they don't want the whole world know that they're looking to get married, just the people that they're interested in.
Okay.
And after they find somebody, they don't want everyone to know that I went online to find somebody. So one of those situations was I was at a Turkish food festival, and I was standing in line, and a brother approaches me and says, "Hey, are you Baba Ali?" And I said, "Yes." Oh, great. So I thought he was talking about like one of the board games or maybe the stand-up comedy. And he's like, "Me and my wife, we met on your site and we got married, but don't tell anybody." I'm like, "What?" And then what happened, his wife walks by. "Did you tell him?" "I did. Let's go. And they ran, and that was the last time I ever saw them. So I never saw those people again. And it was happened as multiple people have put me in these weird situations. One time, some brother invites me to come to the masjid, and he says, "I'm getting married, so come down." So I go there, and I realize there is nobody here except for me, the imam, the witness, and them. And it says, "Don't tell anyone we met on Half Our Deen."
Wow.
So I'll give you one final one.
Yeah.
I was at an Islamic event. This is back in the days I was doing stand-up comedy and doing Half Our Deen. And what happened was organizer at this masjid says, "Hey, Baba Ali, let's go and have some ice cream. Sheikh Yasser Ghadi is one of the speakers that night. He's coming with us too. So let's all go together and have ice cream." So I said, okay. So we go outside and we go out after the event and have ice cream. And as we're having ice cream and talking, that brother's like, "Baba Ali, what's that website, that Half Your Deen or My Deen?" I said, "Half Our Deen," or Half, yeah. How does it work? And I started explaining everything and blah, blah, blah. "Oh, that's great. It's really interesting. And a lot of people find each other through this?" I said, "Yeah." "Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Me and my wife are already married. I was just asking." Okay, I said, okay. So then I go back to my hotel later that night, and my hotel phone starts ringing. I'm like, who's calling me on my hotel phone? Nobody has this number. So obviously I assume it's the front desk. Mm-hmm. I pick up and it's like, "Assalamu alaikum." I'm like, "Oh, walaikum salam. Who's this?" And I said, "Oh, this is the brother from tonight. The one who's asking all those questions. Me and my wife met on Half Our Deen. We just don't want anyone to know." So I put that whole show on together, so they'll have the last idea they would think of is we met on your website.
That's crazy.
You know,
we have no problem. We actually tell everyone we met on a matrimonial website specifically.
Yeah, it's nothing wrong with it.
It's beautiful. It's a great.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. I think it's just a reminder how much shame we've associated with seeking help for marriage.
Unfortunately, yeah. And this is and we should be like open to this. Like there's so many organizations trying to help us get married. We should be like, this should be normalized. This whole idea, this romanticized idea that, okay, we're just going to see each other and we'll just lock eyes and we'll know that's the person I'm going to marry for the rest of my life. That's a fantasy. That's not how the real world works. The real works is you want to make sure you choose the right person, and you want to like learn from the people who have expertise in helping people find the other half. So you do it the right way, inshallah, you're more likely to find success. You just sit here and live in a fantasy world You just can continue dreaming in a fantasy world. So
Yeah,
that's why I think we got. As I agree with you, remove that shame and make it more normalized, inshallah.
yeah, for sure.
Well,
For sure.
I think our cat wants to come on the podcast as well. He's just
Sounds good.
So Marshall, you've traveled a lot. I think you just recently got back from Australia, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, yes. We
Yes.
had over 500 people applied for our event, our singles event. That's the second time we've done it. So far, around 1,100 plus people have applied for our singles event just in Australia, and we've only done 2 events. So we're averaging around 550 people applying per event over there.
Mashallah,
Mashallah,
mashallah.
mashallah.
So my question is that you've seen a lot of different cultures, mashallah, through your travels. Have you seen the perceptions of gender roles differ a lot from culture to culture, and how has that kind of influenced their decisions and their search in getting a spouse?
Yeah, so I actually do notice quite a difference between specifically countries.
Mhm.
So we've done events just this year. We've done events in Australia, the UK, Canada, and the US.
Mm.
And generally, and I'm speaking very general terms, so I'm not talking about anyone specific. Generally, there is a little bit of a difference between what we see like in the US and maybe parts of UK maybe is a little bit different than it is in the US. Australia is very different than is like what it is in Canada. Just the mindset is different. The way they look at, I'll say like gender roles is very different. So you'll see certain countries more traditional,
Mhm.
and certain countries are leaning more towards modern. And you'll notice the ones that are more traditional, they have a more easier way of finding a spouse, and they tend to be more successful in long-term marriages. And the ones that are more modern tend to be more challenging ways of staying married, because anyone can get married, but staying married is a whole different thing. So I think that when people, this is my personal opinion, I think more of the modern views is more of a selfish view. It's each gender seeing what this benefits them,
Mhm.
and that makes it more difficult, because if it's all about me,
Mhm.
no one wants to marry you. It's our marriage, right? It's
Right.
half our deen, not my deen. Your deen, our deen. So if we have to think of it, what is mutually beneficial for both sides, and I think the modern versions of men and women of their marriages don't look at what's beneficial for them. It's all about taking care of yourself and yourself first, and you come before anyone else. That's the mentality, and unfortunately, I think it pushes people away.
Yeah, for sure. And we say the same thing in our workshops too, that compatibility begins with understanding yourselves before you can understand what your future spouse will look like, and assessing all those values and important things.
Right.
So yeah, it's a total mindset shift.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, my next question was, so how should the conversation be like when you're discussing roles with a potential match? How do you go about
What I,
having that conversation?
yeah, I mean, that's a great question. So, when you're speaking to somebody, you want to make sure they're giving you the answer that's true, not the answer that they want to hear or you want to hear, right? So, what do we do to do that? So, what I try to do is I don't reveal my cards. If I was single looking to get married, I would ask him, how do you envision the role of the husband, and how do you envision the role of the wife?
Okay.
This is how you get like more accurate answers than you say, okay, this is what I think and this is what I'm expecting. So what do you say? And they'll kind of like follow up with what you say. So I think a lot of times when people are asking questions to each other, they're showing their cards, and the other person realizes what they're supposed to say, what the right answer is, and they end up saying the right answer. So if you're more creative in the way you ask questions, and I'll just, not to get off topic, but I'll say really quick before we come right back, is an example like when it comes to asking someone how often do you pray, or do you pray 5 times a day? Instead of asking, do you pray 5 times a day, because the correct answer is yes, you ask them about what time does Fajr come in. When you ask like that, if the person prays truly 5 times a day, they have a general idea, not by the minute, but what time Fajr comes in. Just like if a person fasts during Ramadan, they know about what time Maghrib is.
Yeah.
They're not off by an hour. If you're off by an hour during Ramadan, you don't fast, because people are down to the minute at the masjid. Brother, 4:30. It's time, brother. The sun is. They're down to the minute because they're hungry.
Exactly, by the second.
So by the second, yeah, right. So they're already arguing. Adhan, brother, please, Adhan. So we want to eat. So that's the same idea. Is like when something's important to somebody, they are paying more attention to those things. So if someone prays 5 times a day, they have a general idea, not down by the minute. Again, even if it's a 15-minute window, you have a general idea what time Fajr comes in. So going back to your question about the role of the husband, the role of the wife, the way I would do it is we would each answer the question at the same time, and we both reveal our answers at the same time. So we would not show what our answers are, and then so we get more accurate answers of what you think and what I think. So maybe give 3 different options and say, hey, if the role of the husband and the role of the wife, here's option 1, here's option 2, and here's option 3. Which one of these 3 options fits more of the way you're thinking? And make all 3 look correct, by the way. And then they choose, and then you know what your already answer is, and you can see how close you are aligned with each other.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What do you think of this statement, Baba Ali? Rights and responsibilities, they don't change according to the Deen, but roles can change.
Right.
What do you think of that?
So the roles can change as far as I would need more clarification when someone says that. So if someone says the roles can change, what do they mean by the roles? Like, hey, you're going to go work and I stay home, or you're going to say, okay, what is like? Because I think when people are saying certain things, they want you to fit into their life, right? They're not thinking too much about how they're going to fit into your life. They're thinking, how can you fit to my life? This is what I want to do, and I want you to fit into my life. So, for example, a sister may say, I want to do my career. I just need a husband who's going to support me. Okay, that's fine. And the husband's like, well, I want a wife who works so I can take 50% of your money. Now, each of them has their own agenda. The sister wants to work and have her career and everything else fantastic, but she's like, look, I'm not responsible for the home. I think we both should share that. The husband will be like, wait a second, your primary thing is the home, and I don't mind if you work, but you can't just work, keep all the money for yourself, and then I'm 50-50 with the home. Now you flip the script. You have the guy who says, listen, I want you to go work 50-50. It says, fine. And then when it comes to home duties, I need you to take care of that because, hey, what? You're the wife, so you got to take care of the home. I'm coming home and just relaxing. So it's kind of like each person likes 50-50, but what benefits them. But in the real world, that's not how everything works.
Right.
So 50-50, men wanted, financially, I love 50-50. And women love 50-50 when it comes to decision making. We're both going to decide, make the final say. So it has different aspects. And all this confusion is started because human beings are deciding what our roles should be rather than letting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decide who's the most fair, who's the most just.
Exactly.
So are there fixed roles?
Yes, there are fixed roles. The husband has a role, the wife has a role. These are the roles we have. Now, every marriage, with that said, can have their flexibility of doing things the way that works best for them. So if your situation is like, okay, the wife on paper says the wife is supposed to stay home, no, necessarily. What if you live in a situation where your expenses are so high that you both need to contribute to make the certain lifestyle that you want? Now, the more fancier a lifestyle is, the more it's likely that you both have to contribute. The more simpler your life is, the less you have to contribute. Plus, obviously, people's salaries are different and living conditions are different. So it depends on what works for both genders. But whatever you do, there's a cost that comes with it. So let's say, for example, we want a really nice house and really nice cars. That's fantastic. And we both need to work. And how much time do we really get to spend with each other? We are spending 8 hours sleeping. We are at work 8 hours, 9 hours. We're spending 5 hours with each other. And when you come home and I come home and we're both sitting on our phones doing this, how much of a human connection do we have? Our kids speak Spanish because they're never home. The nanny takes care of them. There's no Islam with our nanny because that person's not even Muslim. I mean, so we send our kid to Sunday school. Okay, we'll learn how to pray and fast, but you don't know anything much about beyond that. So what are we trading in for this fancy home and this fancy car? And if you're comfortable with that, just keep that in mind. Don't not think about it and later come back to haunt you because you didn't think about these things ahead of time. And being on the same page of what your spouse is expecting. A lot of times people get married to somebody and then later on they find out that we're not on the same page. That is not what I wanted for my child. That is not what I expected for my lifestyle. And these are conversations they need to have before they get married.
Interesting. I think saying in today's world, saying there are fixed roles, it's very politically incorrect. Like you need to be very courageous to be able to say, yes, there are fixed roles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if you bring different people on different platforms to speak, they're going to say what's right. And the reason why they want to say what's right or what people to make it politically correct, because they're trying to get as many people as they can on their platform, and they don't want to alienate anybody, right? So even if it's opposite what they actually believe, they're going to try to make the most money possible, and they try to appeal to the most people. I'm not in that shoes. I'm not in that. Even though I am behind Half Our Deen, I'm not here to tell people what they want to hear. I'm here to help them be successful. So if that means that a lot of people be alienated, that's fine. But as long as the majority of my people continuously get married, that's all I care about. I don't want to just make money at the expense of just leading people the wrong direction. And I'm not forcing my opinion on people. If people ask me, what are your thoughts? I present my thoughts, but I'm not here, even on the website, to force people, you should do these things this way or that way. But I'm here to present the right way, hopefully, inshallah, so you guys make the right decisions.
For sure. Yeah, I think the problem that I come across a lot of is that people impose this general prescription that they pull from culture about what roles should look like, about what responsibilities should be, rather than pulling from Deen, right? And then creating a framework around that. And so that's just another example of how culture sometimes gets in the way of a fulfilling marriage.
Yeah, like in some cultures, it's taboo for the husband to take out the trash. When the Prophet ﷺ, he was in service of his family, right?
Right, stitched his own clothes, milked his own goats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. And this is the things I think we kind of miss because of culture. I think culture is the one that's really poisoned a lot of the families, has really taken to certain things that has brought in un-Islamic things into the mindset of people. Those people implemented those un-Islamic things. Then everyone else experienced those un-Islamic things, and they don't know the difference between culture and Islam, so they have a negative feeling towards this, so they kind of like go the opposite direction to the opposite extreme. So I think really what we have to do is separate that culture and Islam, show what Islam really teaches, separate the culture and that nonsense and remove it. And you'll realize when you remove the two and you show just purely Islam, nobody has a problem with Islam. People have a problem with the culture.
100%.
So all this nonsense and the way that men and women behave because of culture, that's the problems that we end up experiencing in our marriages.
Yeah. Yeah, and that actually segues to my next question, which is, and I know you talk a lot about this, which is feminism, and is feminism hurting or helping us? And does feminism actually have a place in Islam? And what role does that play in our search for a spouse?
Yeah, and this is another controversial topic because whenever you bring up the word feminism, the word means different things to different people. From one person will say, I believe in feminism because I think equal pay for men and women. Somebody else will say, I think feminism because men are worse than women. Or whatever way you want to do it is like you just make up the word and make up your situation and you just call it feminism. And everybody has a different definition. So when you use the word feminism, it's like, what part of feminism are you talking about? So if I'm speaking to someone for marriage, this is my question. This is a Baba Ali question I'll ask. I'll ask, what part of feminism do you disagree with? The feminism movement do you disagree with? Now, based on their answer, that tells me what level of thinking are they. Stage 1 feminism, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. Stage 4 is like women are men. So that's stage 4, which is crazy.
And stage cancer.
Yeah, so like there's no difference between men and women. They're all one gender. And by the way, even though some Muslims don't actually say those exact words, they are on the same ideas that we're both the same. We're identical. And I don't think that we should be treated even equally. And people are like, wait a second, why are you saying that? It's so controversial. It is controversial, but it's true. I think women should have special treatment. I don't think we should send women to wars. I don't think women should have to do many of the things that are stressful that men are responsible of doing. So when I say special treatment, they automatically assume I'm saying it's a disadvantage for females, but I'm saying it's for the advantage for females. You know, a lot of these things we've lost within our Islamic traditions. We've taken on ideas that have nothing to do with Islam, and we present it as Muslims, unfortunately, and we try to creep it in and we try to Islamify it, and it's just wrong. So the way the whole feminism nonsense, look at where the whole thing came from. This equality thing, this idea of we're both the same and we should both be doing the same thing. No, you shouldn't. shouldn't have the same responsibilities. I should be taking on more stress than my wife. I should handle more things. The final decision, a lot of times you see, for example, a lot of sisters will tell you, I want a good leader in my home. I want a person, a husband who makes. Now, what does that leader mean? A leader means that the person will be responsible and accountable for the final decision. Meanwhile, that same sister will say, I don't want a man to tell me what I can and can't do. So does that really work? So I want you guys to imagine for a moment you hire a bodyguard and you tell this bodyguard, I need you to protect me. And the bodyguard says, fine. So the bodyguard says, please be careful. Don't go that way. And you say, no, I want to go that way. I want to do whatever I want. Don't tell me what to do. And you're like, wait a second. Didn't you hire me to be your bodyguard? Yes. But I want you to protect me. I can't protect you if you don't listen to me. I says, well, I'm not going to listen to you. Who are you to tell me? I'm your bodyguard. What do you mean, who am I? So what he does, he's like, you know what? I quit. I said, you can't quit. You're supposed to protect me. Oh, yes, I can quit. In fact, I'm off. You go do whatever you want. You can go that way, this way, up way, down way, any way you like. I'm out. And then the girl's like, oh, what happened to bodyguards these days? Bodyguards need to step up. So the bodyguard's like, no, I will protect you, even with my life. But you have to at least respect me. You have to at least follow my instructions. I'm not benefiting from you not going that direction. Yes, you are. You're controlling me. How am I controlling you? That's unsafe. You see that guy right there? The guy looks like this. Yeah, he has a gun in his hand. That's why he looks like this. So I'm telling you, stay away from that guy. Well, I think I can take care of myself. Who are you? Okay, I'm and then the guy walks away. So this is where we're like, of course, it's a funny analogy, but this is how I feel a lot of men feel useless in our society today. They're asked to be responsible and accountable, but they have no power to be responsible and accountable. It's like being a manager of a store, but you have no authority. No one has to even listen to you. Why would I be the manager of the store if no one's going to listen to me? Now, the problem is some people, some men, will take advantage of these situations, will use this to control people, will go outside the boundaries of Islam. And this is very important because you have to decide who you give these keys to. It's similarly when we come to electing people. We are telling these people who are going to be our president, our governors, our prime ministers, whatever the situation is, they are the ones that are going to make decisions on our behalf that we are trusting. So if they have all this power, we should be very careful on who we give that power and position to. Similarly, a sister has to be very selective on who she chooses as her husband, because if he has the final say and he doesn't have Islam, then of course he's going to take advantage of that. If he's more cultural than religious, of course he's going to take advantage of it. So this is why it's even more important for us to select the right husband, inshallah, so you don't ever fall into that situation. Someone who fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who loves Allah more than he loves you. So even if he doesn't like you, you're unhappy, he will not do the wrong decision for his own benefit. He fears Allah, he knows on the day of judgment he'll be accountable for it.
Subhanallah, subhanallah. It reminds me of a Shari'i proverb that says, Al-ghurmu bil-ghunm. The advantage comes with responsibility. So let's say the guy, men inherit twice the woman, but at the same time, they're required to spend on their entire family, on their mom and dad if they can't afford it, on their grandma, their auntie, so like you said, they want to have it both ways.
Yeah. And this is again, when you look at it on paper, it says this is unfair. Women get this much money, men get this much money. But then if you don't look at the whole thing, you have to zoom out and say, okay, the money that she gets, how much does she have to spend on her family, on this and that?
Nothing.
None of it. What about the man? He can't. It's not his. It's not even his. He has to share it. So if it's mine, where is mine? Mine is me. There's no me in this. It's ours. So I have to share it on my family. I have to take care of so and so. If my father's passed away and my mother's alone, I have to take care of my mother. She's not responsible financially taking care of the stuff. So the rest of it we don't mention.
Yeah.
So if people want to use an argument, they find the parts that benefit them and they just pretend the rest of it doesn't exist, and then it tries to benefit their side of the argument. But if you're really sincere and true, show the whole thing and then let people decide. And then you see, wow, I think this is more than fair. I think it's just. And again, everything comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He is the most just, and He's the one we should trust more than ourselves.
SubhanAllah. Now, somebody could say that, so you say the women need to be protected and they require special treatment. Why? Do you think women are weak? Aren't they
No.
strong as men?
Yeah. So again, here's we flip this question. You say, okay, if you are getting robbed, or you're something is attacking you, are you going to go, like, let's say you see a male being attacked, ask a female, you see a male being attacked in a parking lot. Will you run and fight off the three men that are attacking him? She's like, no. Would you risk your life for that man? There's some stranger you don't know. No, I'm gonna run and go help, help. You know, you just try to go help. Why don't you go risk your life? You can save his life if you just possibly sacrifice yours. So sisters won't do that. On the flip side, if you see a female being attacked, men are more likely to go there, and it's expected of men to go and do that. So we are not the same in those situations. So we can't treat these situations the same. A man who dies as a shaheed that protects his wife and dies in the process. So there is benefit. Men and women, first of all, we try to make them like the same, but they're not. Let me give you an example. If you tell a sister that your husband is currently not working, are you willing to work full time? He just stays home. And the woman will say yes under certain conditions. That we have a family. Okay, you don't have a family. Okay, we don't have a family, but he has to be looking for a job. And eventually, I'll do this temporarily, but in the long run, I'm not taking care of all the expenses. This because eventually, in long run, she'll start resenting the guy. Now, meanwhile, the guy, what about him? What if he says you have to work and your wife doesn't get to work? Is he going to resent his wife because she's not working? No, because men are not wired this way, right? Going back to the situation of women being portrayed as weak, this is not the scenario whatsoever. What happens, unfortunately, they try to make it sound like men think women are looked at as weak, and men have never looked at that in that way. In fact, I think femininity, which many women think looks weak, or a woman being feminist looks weak, that is not the situation at all of what the way men think whatsoever. What men think is that they have a natural instinct to provide and to protect. So they want someone to provide and protect for. So when they are in a courtship phase speaking to a female, and that woman starts the conversation that I'm strong, I'm independent, I don't need anybody, I'm perfectly fine by myself. What a man hears is I don't need you. So then he just very confused of why are you looking to get married? Why are you at this event? Why are you in this app or in this platform? So for him, he just says, okay, I hope, inshallah, things will work out for you. And his salam alaikum. He moves on to the next person. And then she's very confused. What's wrong with this guy? As soon as I told him about how strong I am, how independent I am, etc., etc., I'm not a weak thing, he reacts that way. He must be intimidated. While in reality, he's not. He's just happy for you and says, okay, I guess you're good. I just need someone to take care of. I just want someone to provide for. And if you're already taken care of and provided for, you don't need someone like me. I have this natural instinct to take care of something, and you are already taken care of. So I think this misconception of, oh, this person's weak. So what they do is they try to flip the script and try to pretend they're strong, while it's more of an illusion, because the words that they're using is not really accurate. If you're truly strong, you don't have to tell the world you're strong, right? Confidence is silent. You don't go around the world make videos. Hey, everybody, sound like I'm ready. I just want to let you guys know how strong I am. No, strong people are just strong. A fourth degree black belt martial artist doesn't have to go around and tell the world he's black degree martial artist. You just see by his demeanor, he knows what he's doing. He has a confidence about him. If you use the word independent, you are not independent, with all due respect, and neither are the men, and neither is nobody. In fact, none of the creation is independent. Every part of the creation is dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the true and only one that's independent. The rest of us are interdependent on each other. We all need each other. It's just that is a weak thing to say, I need you, because we're worried about coming across as weak. But in reality, it shows strength to be vulnerable. To say, I need my wife and I need my children. I need good companions. I need I need my creator. I need Islam. I need all these things. Does that make you weak? No, it makes you strong because it makes you smart. It shows you that you have critical thinking. You have self-awareness. What makes you weak is when you are living a delusional world and pretend that all this from you, because you have an elitist mentality. You come across almost as almost arrogant that everything's because of me. I've taken care of myself. No, you have not. Allah has taken care of all of us. And truly, if I am a person who's living on my own and taking care of myself and everything, I don't have to tell the world. It's just called being an adult. So, so there's nothing special about it.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's
Yeah.
true. This reminds me of a situation we ran into with a client. Mashallah, you just try to keep it as vague as possible to protect her identity, but she was pursuing a specialty in the medical field, and mashallah, she's like super smart girl pursuing a PhD program. And we introduced a match to her who was also pursuing a PhD program. And there was one line she said that really stuck to me, which was, I don't find many marriages to be successful if there is a pay disparity between men and if there is a pay disparity between the wife and the husband.
Hmm.
And I'm like,
Okay.
no, that really stuck to me, because what I feel that a lot of girls are adopting the mentality that, their whatever they accomplish outside of the home should carry over into the home. So they could be a CEO, they could be a politician, they could be whatever, but at home, your husband is the CEO, right? Like your husband, there are no two captains steering the ship. So
Yeah.
you have an honorable position at home, but realize that this mentality is coming from the point of view that you know you
If
earning
I'm,
more is
yeah.
somehow giving you leverage over your husband.
Yeah.
But if you're coming with an Islamic mindset, you understand that your husband is still the qawwam at home, that he's still a leader at home, regardless of how much you earn outside. It doesn't matter. You understand where I'm coming from?
Yes, and if you think about it, this is a direct attack on the family structure.
Yeah.
Now, if you talk about the same thing and say, okay, let's say another female male situation, like for example, a police officer pulls you over. That is a male police officer, female driver in this example.
Mhm.
He asks you, I need your license and registration. No, who are you to tell me? I'm independent. You cannot come with that attitude. You're going to go to jail. So you are going to be submissive in that situation. At work, boss says, I need you to do this. Again, staying within the legal boundaries of what your work tasks are. I need you to do this extra project. I need this. And like, that's not part of my default thing. Well, I need you to get this thing done by 5 p.m. on Friday. Well, who are you to tell me what to do? You come up with that attitude, you won't be working very, very long.
Yeah.
Now, when you ask people, why would you accept or tolerate this? The response is, well, he's paying me. Well, he's paying you and it's a financial transaction. But what about the person who loves you and takes care of you and protects you with their life and takes on the accountability responsibility? And when you're lying in bed and someone breaks the window, he's down there to protect you and to go see what's wrong. Will your boss do that for you? Will your boss sacrifice their whatever they make as far as money and share everything with you? So the question is, they never question these things. So there is levels of submissiveness that we have with all these relationships, but we don't talk about any of them. Let's even talk about two more. Relationship with you and your creator. You have to do whatever your creator says. This is submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Literally submitting to your creator. And last but not least is like your parents, for example. That's another example. This is not in any specific order, but your parents. You would have to listen to everything your parents say, even if they're non-Muslim, except when they tell you something to do outside the boundaries of Islam.
Yeah.
Why don't we attack that? Why don't they attack that? Because that none of these things benefits them. What benefits them is dividing the male and the female to break the family structure. And now you're wondering, why does that benefit them? Like, how can this? Why do they even care about our relationship between the husband and wife? Because if they can create more divorces, the additional divorces makes a lot more money. It's all tied into money. It's not an attack on Islam or Muslims or anything like that. It's all about money. And if you follow the money trail, you'll realize that, wow, there's a lot of money being made. I'm not just talking about divorce attorneys. I'm talking about entire industries that benefit from people being single. For example, if you guys, like 10 of us are all married and all of us live in homes or apartments or houses or condos, if we get divorced, they will need to find all new places
Mhm.
for us, and we can't create properties just out of thin air. So suddenly the price of all the open properties get exceptionally higher. So that increases the real estate prices.
Interesting.
Yep.
Now we're individually working, or we get taxed at a higher rate. We are more dependent on our jobs. So we double the workforce. One of us maybe worked part time before, or not even worked at all, but now everybody has to work. Doubles the workforce. Now corporations can pay us less because there's less people, there's more people working, and there's more competition. And now everyone has to work. It's not optional. When you're optional, you can quit when situation gets bad, so employers can't take advantage of that. So it just continues. And obviously, your income tax, the government makes more money. Your property tax goes up. Everything goes up because the demand is higher. Now, let's flip the script for a second. Let's say everyone gets married. Everyone gets married. How much more do you think people are drinking and going to clubs? How much do you think people are doing all these things that they're filling up the void because they're single? Because now they have families and now they have to start saving money and all this other stuff. Single people don't save money like the way married people do. Married people we have to try to buy a home. We have to take care of figure out our future for our kids. They're doing all this other planning for the future, much more stable. They're less likely to do crazier stuff. But when you're single, you need to fill up that void. So you buy things you don't need to impress people you don't know, all these other things that come and play. It's all down to money. That's the reason they want to separate us.
Subhanallah, it's I believe there is a like hadith or hadith Qudsi says that it's Shaitan's crown achievement to break up families. Like
Yep.
it's the best thing they could ever do.
100%. Yes.
Subhanallah. I feel that extreme feminism is comes as a result of extreme masculinity or misogyny, if you can call it. What role do you think, just the same way with feminism, what role do you feel masculinity plays in this whole picture of getting married?
I think both masculine and feminine energy has a positive and negative versions of it.
Mm-hmm.
So the same man who can be violent, that type of energy, can also be protective if he channels that energy in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
The same woman who can be, for example, has female intuition, it's a good thing to have, but you can also, if you channel the wrong way, you could just be superstitious.
Mm-hmm.
You can be, there's good and bad versions of every type of energy, and you have to think about it like, am I going to be the good version of this or the bad version of this? And what happens is when we see the bad version in some people, then what we do is we just label it all that. So that's why we use a toxic masculinity.
Right.
I don't think femininity is bad. I don't think masculinity is bad. I think the lack of femininity in women is bad. The lack of masculinity in men is bad. Because when you're lacking these things, the other gender does not find you desirable. And what people don't realize, both male and female, is that when they say, oh, there's no good women out there, there's no good men out there, they're talking about one major thing is they're lacking that element that makes them a woman, that makes them a man. That's why they said men need to step up. And though they said what happened to like women who want to be women, they use terms like this, and it's not clear. But if you really analyze it, what they're really saying is where are the women who are naturally feminine, who want to feel like a woman, and where are the men who are men? What happened to like one generation ago, like my dad's generation, my grandfather's generation? What happened to the real men? This is what they're really asking. And the real important question is, where are they? Like, why are they like this? And these are both responding to negative things that has impacted them in their life. So, example, feminists or red pill people. Notice they have a lot more in common than different. You're like, wait a second, they hate each other. They do. But they have a lot more in common than they actually think. Both of them, and I want you guys to think about everyone that you know is a feminist, and everyone is hardcore feminist, hardcore red pill people. Everyone, not without exception, they went through some type of trauma from the opposite gender, or they saw it with their own eyes, maybe with their mother or their father or their best friend. They got a terrible divorce, something happened, or they themselves experienced it. Now they have very negative feelings, not to one specific person, but the opposite gender in general. And this is why they are mad. It's like a magnet for them. They're almost like trauma bonding with each other. None of these people have anything in common other than they've been hurt by the opposite gender in a bad way. And if you watch the podcasts that they show up for both genders, you will notice that what they do is they try to show the worst of the opposite gender. So this is their nonsense that you believe. Let's double down on it. Let's keep feeding you more and more and more, which keeps making this fire bigger and bigger. So you start despising, hating almost the opposite gender. And again, it's one thing to divide us and to separate us and get us divorced. And it's another thing to put so much hatred in our heart that we will never get married again. And as you notice today, we are at the lowest marriage percentage ever for adults in the last 80 years. and 8 years ago is when they start keeping track record. So that basically that we know of in our history so far, we've never seen this many people not married that are adults.
I think I heard in certain countries like Japan, they are encouraging people to get married by paying them. They pay them, bribe them with money. You could say bribe them with money to get married.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
crazy when you think about it.
Baba Ali, what makes Half Deen different?
Or well, I try to do things a bit different. As you can see, I'm not your typical guy who runs a matchmaking site. I'm not here to just tell you what you want to hear. I'd rather tell you the truth and be honest with you. So similarly with Half Our Deen, we try to be honest. So instead of like inflating numbers and saying, okay, we have millions of people on the website, we tell you, okay, these are the exact active people using the website. We use data to help you determine who's compatible with you and who's not. We provide details of each person, their personality, what they're attracted to. We do quizzes, we do all kinds of details so you can see exactly who you're talking to, figure out compatibility so you don't waste time with people that are not compatible. Ask every single person that you know who's single. They've probably said this exact sentence, even though I don't know any of your friends. And the sentence is, I'm taking a break.
Yeah.
And the reason why they're taking a break is because the whole thing is crazy.
Yeah.
This whole apps, the events, the websites, it's just driving them up the wall because the whole thing is just not working. So what do I do? Like they keep selling me, come join here, do this, do that. And everything I try is a complete disaster. So what I try to do is like, what if we provide the alternative for you? It's not going to be as glamorous. It's not going to have all this glitter on top of it. It's going to ask you to go on a website and answer all these questions. Like, wow, this is a lot of questions. Yeah, it is. Getting married is not easy. It's called Half Our Deen for a reason. It's not like a quarter of our Deen or 1/10. It's a lot. So there's a lot of work, a lot of responsibility, and there's a lot of people to choose from. So let's filter these people out to just a few that are more likely to be compatible with me, and let's try to dive deeper and figure out where we think alike and where we think differently. So one of the major differences between Half Deen and everybody else is our unique events. So over half of the people at our events find a match. We have the highest success rate for not just Muslims, but non-Muslims as well, non-Muslims as well, and not just in the United States, but the world. So one little company out of California has been able to produce events that have become so popular that about 24% of our attendees travel to come to our events. So we just make one post on my Instagram and we have over 300 people applying. This is our upcoming event. And we still have weeks away from it. So we had an event in Australia, over 500 people applied. So when you have something that actually works, now people come towards it. So yes, I only have like 2,600 people on my website, but to consider that you have 2,600 people on your website and then suddenly you post something and then hundreds of people apply, that tells me the people that are on your website, they trust you.
Yes.
And when they come to the event, they see the difference.
Yeah.
That's the major difference. I mean, you build the trust of the people, they realize that you're like a real person and you're legit and you actually care about them. They come to you. You don't have to keep marketing and selling and selling and selling. You'll notice a lot of websites and platforms, they sell, 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 sell. But if something is good, it'll be bought. It won't be sold. They'll come to you. And this is what, alhamdulillah, what I've been experiencing with Half Our Deen.
Alhamdulillah. And it's all about quality, not number of
Yes.
people. So people who are on Half Deen are mostly serious and they're actually genuinely looking for marriage.
Yeah, if you think about it, which man is going to go answer 157 questions in real life? Like sisters who are watching this or listening to this right now, talk to a man you just met. It says, "Assalamu alaikum, it's nice to meet you. I sent in your inbox 157 questions. If you're not busy, can you please answer them for me?" And you hear crickets. Like, "Hello, are you there?" And he's like, "Hello, what happened? Maybe you're disconnected." "No, I'm not disconnected. I just heard 157. Okay, assalamu alaikum, sister. I'm so sorry. I hope you get some mental health help." I then the guy goes away. So what I do on my website, I try to understand how men think. And if you go to a man and ask him to answer 100 questions each time, he's not going to answer it. So people ask me, how do you get so many men to answer the questions? And the way I did it is I told the men, if you answer these questions just once, you'll never have to answer it again. Because now all the sisters can come and see their answers. The next layer of it is that I told them, when we do searches by top members on our website, because you've done all your quizzes, you'll come up first.
Oh.
So now and sisters want to see the men who are more serious versus the men who are less serious. So the one who put more effort into their profiles, I think sisters appreciate that too, and they want to see those profiles before everyone else. And because men want to be seen over other men, they're like, I'll put all the effort and do it the right way. This is how we do things differently. We understand how both women and men think, and I try to transcribe that also to our events. So when people come to the event, every single activity, every single question, every single thing I have put a lot of thought into to think how can I get people to discover who's compatible with them. I'm always working on new things, even like chaperones. Recently, I know you guys hosted one of our events a while back when we did it in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
But since then, so many different things have been updated. For example, let's say one of the issues I think at just generally at single events is you're sitting at a table and you're doing an activity with these people at your table, and it's great, and you learn about these people at your table, and then but then you think to yourself, what about the guy at table number 7? Or if you're a female, or if you're a male, you're like, what about that sister at table number 6? I wonder how she would have answered the same question we discussed at our table. I would really like to know that. So, but I can't do every activity with every table because virtually impossible. Well, not anymore. Because now what happens is whenever you're doing an activity, all the answers from all the other tables show up on your phone. And it calculates compatibility with each person. And even when you go home, you can see all the answers to every single person for every single activity. Now that a sister has all this data about the brother and his profile, it helps her get a much better idea of who she's talking to, especially since the activities were designed in such a way he can't give you the quote unquote right answers. So that's one of the things. And one more thing was really cool. I think since you guys were chaperones, you guys will appreciate. You would know, remember back when we did our event, we would have to ask each table, where are you guys at? How many more minutes do you need? Are you guys at table 3? Do you guys need a few more minutes? Or are you guys almost done? Because we had to wait for everyone to finish before we can move on to the next activity. Now our app tells us not only where every table is at, but what each person is at. How many things have they finished? Who's falling behind? Who's confused? We have all of that in real time, so we don't have to ask anyone anything. It's everything is now streamlined even further. So I'm always improving, inshallah. That's the major difference. Always trying to improve, inshallah.
MashaAllah.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Guys, people who are listening, we are an example of a success story. And Zaid has a few friends who actually met on HOD.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very, very affordable option.
Yeah.
You've met the guy and you know how genuine he is.
Yeah. You know, it's funny you talk about people taking a break because we literally dedicate a section of our workshop about how not to burn out. And we talk about taking a break.
Yeah,
So,
even with our clients, they
Yeah.
burn out after a few rejections.
a few rejections, like, I'm taking a break. I'm like,
Yeah.
rejection?
Wow.
Get used to rejection.
Yeah. But
You know?
before we leave you guys, Zaid mentioned the workshop. Inshallah, next Sunday, we have an upcoming workshop in Mississauga at MNN Masjid. We're going to be discussing topics of compatibility, self-assessment, how not to burn out. And hope to see you there. Baba Ali, thank you so, so much for your time, for your...
Thank you for having me.
It's been an asset, mashallah. And any last words?
No, nothing
Any
more.
last words, Baba Ali?
For all those who are going through the process of finding your half, be patient. There is a reason why you're being tested the way you're being tested. It may not be clear at this moment, but in the future, you will hopefully, inshallah, see it and becomes much more clear. I myself struggled finding my other half. I understand how you feel. This is why I put so much thought and passion behind it. Like, I don't have to tell you that I'm passionate about it. You can probably tell from my voice. I really do care about people. I really do care about you guys finding your half. And for all those that met me through the events and in person, you can tell that I care. And when you have people who care about you, and like these two, this amazing couple, you need to hang out and learn from them because that's the way you get success. There's a lot of people who are in it just for the business side of it, and there's people who do actually genuinely care about you, and those are people who are more likely to help you become successful, inshallah. So make sure you guys go to their workshop. They are a couple who are trying to do things differently. And alhamdulillah, if you're trying to get a different result than you currently have right now, then surround yourself with people that are trying to do things differently. Jazakallah khair for once again for having me part of your workshop, part of your program.
Thank you so much, Baba Ali. Till next time.
Till next time.
The next time.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yes.